Hey, what is going on? This is your Stimulus Daily updated information. So there is some new talk about Democrats trying to push for two checks, $1,400 checks. They're trying to get two more checks out. So recent Democrats are saying they have the ability to try to get these new checks out. Plus these states that are sending out more stimulus checks, there's lots of new states that are coming on board. I think there's going to be more states coming on because of the fact that they have billions and billions of dollars in their treasury that was sent through the Federal Reserve or federal government through the American Rescue Plan. So trying to get those payments out to everybody. There are bonus payments and plus up payments that are still going out every week. The Treasury is sending out more stimulus. And there's this talk of this fourth stimulus check. In fact, there's people already getting a fourth stimulus check, but it's a very small targeted group right now. And they're trying to expand that. They do have this $3.5 trillion plan that is going to be coming out here. They're going to vote on it hopefully in the next couple of weeks to get that done. Inside of that could be the American Families Plan, and that American Families Plan could have the fourth stimulus check in it. So there is a lot of good stuff happening. I think though there's a lot of pressure from Congress to get more stimulus out, and I look forward to really seeing what they're going to be doing and trying to get these things moving forward. I know there's a lot of people that are still trying to figure out where their first two checks are happening, if they're going to be getting those checks. And so I'm going to cover a lot of those details in this video for you. Also, if you haven't done, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you get notified of all the videos that I do come out with. So there is additional federal stimulus going out right now. The plus up payments, these are the payments that are going out every week from the Treasury. There's about 25 billion more payments, more that needs to go out to everybody. And so in these plus up payments, these are people that are getting their 2020 filings in. And as they're getting the 2020 filings in, the Treasury is sending out more payments, and they're trying to get people caught up to that $1,400 level. So if you filled out your 2020 returns and you made less in 2020 than you did in 2019, they're going to cover you for the difference in as far as giving you this stimulus check going out. Plus, if you did not receive your first and second check, there is a recovery rebate credit section in the non-filers tool. There is a free tool online at the Treasury website. It's a non-filers tool, and you'll be able to use that recovery rebate credit section in there to get your first two checks. And those would be the checks going out. Now, again, every week the Treasury is sending out more and more payments to everybody from the American Rescue Plan. They haven't been authorized yet to send out additional fourth stimulus check. That's what the Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all of them are trying to get passed in the House of Representatives, and in the Senate they're trying to get that passed so they can move that forward of getting those payments. There are $1,400 checks that are going out. There is a small targeted group of people that are going to be getting these checks. If you did get a child in the year 2020, a new child, and you file your 2022 filings or even your 2020 filings, you're going to be getting a $1,400 check. Plus, you're going to be added to this ongoing child tax credit payments. And I think they're going to try to extend out the child tax credit to the year 2025. So if you do have children right now and you are having new children, it's going to benefit you to file those new children on your returns. You get the $1,400 payments and the child tax credit. Again, those child tax credit payments are going out every month. There's $300 for children under the age of 6, and then there's $250 between the age of 6 and 17. And that's multiplied by how many children you have. 4 or 5 children, that could be a pretty big check. That's going out every month through the month of December. I don't know if they're going to, if they pass the American Families Plan and that extends out through 2025, it looks like those monthly payments will continue on for the next 4 or 5 years when they get that passed. But for right now, the payments are going to end in December. And then in March, they're going to send out the additional $1,600 payments on that. So it'll be a total of $3,600 for kids under the age of 6, and then $3,000 for kids between 6 and 17. So it does pay off to have children in this day and age. But those of you that don't have children, that's where the fourth stimulus check is probably going to be coming in as far as getting the payments out to everybody in the form of a new stimulus check that's going to go out. Congress is trying to pass that. They just are running into a lot of resistance in the Senate from the Republicans who don't really want to send out any more stimulus. But there is good news for a lot of the states out there that are sending out monthly stimulus checks, or not even monthly stimulus checks, but one-time payments to everybody in that state. One of the big states right now is California. They're sending out the big payments, like $600 for people in their area. But the thing about California is that they're the only state that is actually sending out stimulus checks like the federal government has been doing over the course of the last year and a half. Every state in the United States received billions and billions of dollars, and California is the only one that's actually sending out payments to those in that area. If you live in California and you make less than $75,000, you should have already received your stimulus payment of $600 plus $500 for dependents. If you did not, you should probably get those returns in and then let the Franchise Tax Board send those payments out to you. Some of the other states, Maryland, $300 to $500 for low-income residents. People that did put in their earned income credit are also going to be getting a stimulus payment. Florida looks like teachers are going to be getting their payment. Somebody asked about the daycare and things like that. I get it. That's part of the part of education. However, I don't think it was part of this Florida payments that were sent out. Now, this also during Florida, if you're a teacher, you get a $1,000 payment. If you're a frontline worker, police, you have EMTs and you have firefighters, they're also receiving the $1,000 stimulus payment in the state of Florida. Good news for Florida. It seems like Florida and California are the ones sending out the most stimulus in those states. Now, Texas also has bonuses going out, but it's for more individualized cities. In fact, one of the big ones is going to be Irvine is sending out $2,000 for people to try to get teachers back to work in that city. The state of Texas has not done a statewide stimulus checks, but what they're doing is they're actually sending out stimulus checks for individual cities in that area. Now, other states are going to be Colorado, have sent out $375 checks. New Mexico sent out $750 checks. Washington, D.C. and Vermont, they both sent out stimulus checks in that area. And so those are other states that are doing that. I think Tennessee and Georgia were not on this list. They are also sending out $1,000 payments to the people in that area. I know New York had about $2.1 billion set aside for workers in that state. So if you do receive a check in the mail, that's going to be it's going to just go right directly into your deposit, or you're just going to receive a check in that state. But most of them is going to be towards educators and frontline workers in a lot of these different states.
Any doubt that the left flank will go for if they have to pass the infrastructure bill first? Will they go for that to make sure that do you know?
I wish I had the 10 Democrats in my party. I've never seen a worse negotiation than that group. Nancy Pelosi just got everything she wanted.
The left says they're not going to.
On the left is much tougher. I think the far left is going to win more. The far left has been now able to tie it up. When they were afraid of passing a $1.2 trillion package, they now got a $5 trillion package. And they tied it all together in when it all collides together. It is the witching hour. So they'll probably even get more. Because the far left is much stronger. You watch what Cori Bush, you watch what AOC does. They hold this Democratic Party hostage to their socialist beliefs, and they have won time and again. I believe at the end of the day, they'll even ask.
I thank the gentleman. Look, we see our Republican friends are very upset. They said, this is embarrassing. What are we doing? What have we done? What you're mad about is that we are delivering for the American people. We saved pensions. We cut taxes for working class people, invested in the communities, invested in the schools, and now universal preschool. Everyone can go to community college, vision, dental, hearing for Medicare recipients, paid family leave. If you think for 1 second I'm going to apologize for what we're doing, you are wrong. Once again, we should have done this 30 or 40 years ago, and obviously, once again, the Republican Party is MIA. Yield back.
The members are reminded to direct their comments to the chair.
It's a wonderful morning. We had such a good day in the Congress yesterday. I want to salute my caucus for the commitment to values that they demonstrated in accepting the president's budget, the Build Back Better initiative. Again, it was a team effort for us to win. I'm really very, very excited. I always had confidence. I never doubted that the president's budget would prevail because of the commitment that our caucus has to America's working families. That is what unifies us, whatever our differences at the end of the day. Our commitment to America's working families is the unifier. So people say to us, well, you keep them together. No, our values keep the House Democrats together. So I'm excited, very much excited about that.
It says it. It's the children. That's who's going to pay for it. Right here. just go to page 7, where it authorizes up to $45 trillion in debt. We're at about $28.6 trillion right now. $45 trillion in debt. Taxes and spending through the roof that will hit every family in America, Madam Speaker. It's really disgraceful that Speaker Pelosi this week brought us back to raise taxes on Americans here at home rather than to help come up with a strategy to rescue Americans that President Biden abandoned in Afghanistan.
Now, the Democrats have put up this new plan that they're going to try to take some of these tax hikes or tax benefits that were during the last administration. The corporate tax level was bumped down to 24%. President Biden wants to get it back up to 28%, and they want to take some of the loopholes a lot of the corporations are doing as far as taking the money overseas and not paying income tax on it. So they're talking about $800 billion, and that's enough for the federal government to finance 2 $1,400 stimulus checks. The thing is a lot of these Democrats, they tend to say, yeah, this is great, but once they get that money in, it's hard for them to go around and send those stimulus checks out. If they can do that, I don't know how they're going to get this passed, but this is the bill. This is something they're trying to push for, try to move them forward. Now, President Biden did say he wanted to bump that tax rate up to 28%. That's going to be pretty tough on a lot of businesses. And, they're trying to get the businesses back to the United States so they can get the businesses back. But the problem is that businesses can go to other countries where the competitiveness of that business is going to be a lot greater. I think U.S. should be more competitive as far as manufacturing and business and things like that. If they tax too much, then businesses leave, and that's where the Democrats don't really understand it. I mean, many Democrats have never really run a business before. They've never really had the ability to pay out. They'd have to pay employees. They didn't have to pay. They don't have the overhead. They don't have anything like that. They're just politicians who receive a monthly salary, and it's easy for them to say, yeah, let's just raise the tax height up to whatever. I mean, why don't they just raise it up to 50% and just see how the businesses try to survive in the United States doing that? They won't. They'll move their business overseas, and that's why you see so many companies going to other places like China and things like that. It's hard. It's tough for businesses to stay competitive worldwide because other countries are going to have a lower corporate rate. So if China has a 10 or 11% corporate rate versus a 28% in America, they can't compete with that. So they are competing with other businesses throughout the world for that. But I think it's the right direction for Democrats to try to push this if they can get this to maybe get some more taxes from these businesses and then send out more stimulus checks. I don't really know if this is going to pass. I don't really know if I think it's just talk by some of these Democrats. What I do know is I think the American Families Plan will have some type of more stimulus, and they'll extend a lot of these programs out. The unemployment rate is going to stop on September 6th. That is going to end, and then what's going to happen is they're going to have to figure out some way of extending those unemployment benefits. Right now, everybody's getting $300 per week. If they can extend that out through the end of the year, I think that would be helpful, because a lot of these states and governments are going to start to lock down their economies again, which is absolutely insane. I think it's crazy, but they're going to do that. When they do that, it hurts employees, it hurts businesses, it really hurts the communities when the federal government locks down these businesses. It's hard to lock down a business and try to people need to be more responsible, but they need to say, okay, let's not go in these businesses, or let these businesses handle their own safety when people come in. But this is the stimulus check information right now. This is where all these stimulus checks are happening. I think we're going to take a look at Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. We're going to see where they're at as far as getting more stimulus. I think we got to wait for them to come up. I think President Biden right now, he's kind of not really pushing for more stimulus. When they weren't in power, when Democrats weren't in power, they're really pushing for a lot of stimulus. Now that they're in power, I'm not sure they're really pushing for it more. But we'll have to see if these guys can get some type of more stimulus checks moving out the right direction. I'm going to keep you always updated on that. So if you have any questions, you can drop those questions in the comments below. This is your daily stimulus check updated information for today.